now to your cultural and political essays, Ms. Taher, and I suppose when I was looking at that in the light of having looked quite recently at the novels, it seemed to me that really this whole question of a common ground is one that can be found across your work, both literary and political. And I find this really exciting, actually, this concept of a common ground. In the Eye of the Sun, Asia, when the student says to her, I'm learning the language of the enemy, raises the question of, but what about the commonality of human experience? And I think that is an important preoccupation of your literary and political works. And I was wondering how, although we might sort of define this question of a common ground, because it seems to me that, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that you're not posing a kind of discourse of liberal tolerance, but something more radical, perhaps a radical form of hospitality. But yeah, if you could say something about your notion of it.
Could I mean, I guess what I should do is just find a passage where I actually sort of say something about this, if I can find it. And while I'm trying to find it, I would say, I mean, this word tolerance, I just can't bear it. I'm not tolerant towards tolerance at all. I mean, what's to tolerate? You know? I mean, people are different, that's a great thing. Who would want to be in a uniform? And so the idea of a society in which people tolerate each other's differences, it just makes me feel awful. And in my sense, and of course I don't know whether this is sort of rose-tinted spectacles or whatever, but when I was small, when I was really small, I mean, you know, like sort of 4 or 5, whatever, and I keep thinking of my grandfather's house, or the apartment building that my grandfather and the family lived in, from Ahdaf, as being like there were these magnificent stairs that were open, and not the stairs were open, but basically the wings of the building were connected by an open corridor, and so you had the open air either side, and you played along the stairs and in the corridors between the flats. And there were Greeks, and there were us, and there were Copts, and there were all sorts of people, and it wasn't that we all played together because our parents were so tolerant. It was that the fact that there were so many different types of people was a brilliant thing, because it meant that there were lots of ayed, lots of different kinds of food. There was lots more of everything. And so it just was a much more rich environment to grow up in. So let me just see if I can possibly find that little bit about common ground. Well, I'm not going to find it, but there is a bit here, which is, it says, growing up Egyptian in the 60s meant growing up Muslim, Christian, Egyptian, Arab, African, Mediterranean, non-aligned, socialist, but happy with small-scale capitalism. On top of that, if you were urban professional, the chances were that you spoke English and or French and danced to the Stones as readily as to Abdul Halim. In Cairo, on any one night, you could go see an Arabic, English, French, Italian, or Russian film. One week, the Russian Hamlet was playing at Cinema Odeon, Christopher Plummer's Hamlet at Cinema Asrenil, and Karam Matawi's Hamlet at the Egyptian National Theatre. We were modern and experimental, we believed in art and science, we cared passionately for freedom and social justice. We saw ourselves as occupying a ground common to both Arab and Western culture. Russian culture was in there too, and Indian, and a lot of South America. The question of identity as something that needed to be defined and defended did not occupy us. We were not looking inward at ourselves, but outward at the world. We knew who we were, or thought we did. In fact, I never came across the Arabic word for identity, huwiyya, until long after I was no longer living full-time in Egypt. Looking back, I imagine our 60s identity as a spacious meeting point, a common ground with avenues into the rich hinterlands of many traditions.
I want to write then fiction related to what happened to Egyptians, what happened to our values the last 20 years. The last 20 years, 25 years, I think it happened a lot in the world. After the Second War, I think all the world have a hope for a rational future. Bertrand Russell wrote about this rational future. And in Egypt we have the independence. We have 20 years or 20, yes, at least 20, 25 years of hope. And in the mid-70s, I think Egypt and all over the world, this hope stops to be a reality. And the United States of America begin to rule a new world beginning of the 80s. And from this period, we are totally colonized by the United States of America. And we are ruled by a government who are totally failed in every politics, economics, society, culture, everything, education. It was really a diving very fast towards the bottom.
Yeah.
Really fast. And I was watching then, unfortunately watching only this diving towards the bottom during 20 years. I was here doing nothing except watching. It was really very awful for me to watch and do nothing. And during this period of 20 years, I wanted then to begin to write, and in 2005, I think because of a general circumstances, that Egypt has begin something new. We begin Kifaya movement, we begin the demonstration and strikes in Mahalla, Kafr al-Dawar, Alexandria, Cairo, begin many youth movements for change, to change. Something happened, and still happening till now, the last 5 years. And I think due to this movement, I wanted to begin to write. My project postponed for 20 years.
There are lots of, what do you call it, things that crush the spirit of people now. And you can feel it, that
disappointment,
and they're always, they expect to fail. They expect to fail because I see people doing things they don't like just because this is what other people did, or this is what society approves of, or this is the approved criteria for being successful. But if you're not happy, you're not happy.
You've been talking about some things that make you feel pessimistic, but do you think that there are things that are happening at the moment that make you feel really excited? And
I am excited.
Feel a sense of optimism.
I'm very excited because the times are changing, and it's been very slow change. But now in 2010, I can see that in the past 5-6 years, there were a lot of upheavals and changes. Today, and a couple of years ago, nobody would dream of taking to the street because they have some problem with the owner of their factory. But now, sometimes I say I pity the government because one day goes away without somebody who's in the street demonstrating against something, or there's some kind of crisis happening somewhere and they have to pay money for the damages. And it's just to say that it's the system is kind of crumbling. It's very corrupt, but I feel very very enthusiastic because
change feels possible.
yes, and I feel that putting aside al-Baradei and the president and all that, I feel the people are changing, and this is the most important thing. I refuse to believe that one person will come and set us free and make everything different for us, because this will be too easy and we will not really have deserved it. But now I feel with the accumulation of all these things taking place, we're starting very slowly to realize what we've been missing and what we need, and we're starting to ask for it. So this is a very good start, and I'm very optimistic. I feel that the picture changed a lot in the past couple of years, and I think, yes, in a little more time there will be more change for the better.
Yeah, no, I feel it actually.
Yes.
Myself, I think it's reflected in the literature. Speaking to Khaled Al-Kamizi,
Khaled, of course,
yes. And he was saying that he's feeling quite optimistic at the moment after feeling very depressed for a while.
Yes, it was depressing, but when you stop and see it in retrospect, you feel, no, it's going very slowly, but it's going somewhere, and no matter every single thing seems small on its own. Maybe Kifaya looked small, maybe the workers looked small in some place, but now the picture is that lots and lots of people are realizing that we have rights, and the only way we're going to get them is to ask for them, and not just ask for them politely and then get scared away. No, we have to ask and insist. There was this strike for the nurses, not young women, and they came from Tanta, I think, or Mansoura, and stayed here for a week or two just to say that they were treated unfairly. So yes, of course, there's hope.
That's great.
What was Khaled saying?
Oh, he was saying that he only I mean, he had novels in his head for a long time, but he only felt that he could write them, when he began writing Taxi, because he began to feel that there was a shift of mood, and that it wasn't going to be just pointless. It would matter in some way.
Yes. You can see it now, and I hope that in less than 5 years, we will be able to see how it all made something possible, change possible.
I feel like there's a growing sense that yes, we can say what we want to say, and we will say it like this.
People in Egypt had no problem at all in saying what they want. The government work in a method where they do the famous phrase like, say what you want and I'll do what you want. So as long as people are saying, no, they can write, they can do anything, they can curse, they can, like, if you have this energy, just talk, it would be better. The idea this time is people should do things, initiate things, take back their rights. I remember the last demonstration we did. I'm not sure, was it like 2006 or 5? I'm not sure. It's a vague memory. It sounds like yesterday anyway. So we were in Taher Square, and there's one of the most famous poets who've been in jail for many times. One of the times because of a poem during Sadat's era. His name is Ahmed Fouad Nigm. He's like real guru here. So he's 80-something years old. Two people had to walk him, and for a mysterious reason, 24 hours before the demonstration, they revealed it. So not a lot of people come, and where you find usually in any normal demonstration, a high-ranked officer. We found high-ranked officers by our numbers.
Wow.
And there is this, what they call them, the karate squad. People wear civilian dresses. They walk from the other side, and they bring the special kind of stick,
Yeah,
And they,
drumstick.
yes, and they make a circle, and if that kind of circle is closed, you will be pulled out with blood or broken something. That's the lucky people. If you are dead, so that might be it. So this big rank guy who said he's one of the people who read Ahmed Fuad Negm. And at the square there is this Ayman Noor's party. They were cursing them. We were like very civilized kind of demonstrations with boards. We don't shout, we don't just singing some of the songs or something. I said, I'm Ahmed Fuad Negm, my uncle, come on, you are not like those trash people, you are very like respectful people. Please, I have a very vicious orders to strike this demonstration with the maximum amount of violence. Because 2 days earlier, Ahmed Fuad Negm recited on air on Al Jazeera a poem against Gamal Mubarak being engaged. You know, and he insulted him on air. They cut him on air. And, who usually don't cut people.
Yeah.
So there's the situation. 8, 9 people. 3 of them like Ahmed Fuad Negm, and 2 people lifting him barely with his chick hand because of the age, not fearing or something. And this high-rank officer saying that. Few high-ranking officers came out from nowhere, you don't know. And the karate squad start to cross the square. And they start to form the deadly circle. And then they decided to move him back here because there's no point in seeing him die dead or something. You know, it'd be pointless. And while we were walking, the biggest rank officer was like with his microphone. Yeah, no, they were walking back. They were retreating. They are retreating. You know? Until we came out here, they were waiting in the street. They don't believe that they say go away and then we go away. It's not that easy. And then after a few hours, they went to a nearby bar to have some drinks or something. They sent more people in front of the bar to make sure that we are not demonstrating anymore. That's the last time I witnessed that demonstration. I promised myself that there is no point at all in seeing myself or other member or a colleague or a master dead. Sometimes wood can break a bone. You know,
Absolutely.
he did just one poem did all of this. So it might be a poem, it might be a novel, it might be a short story, it might be an article. So everyone has a certain job.
I've been speaking to some writers while I've been here who have said that they feel very optimistic. Well,
About the future.
yeah.
You have to be optimistic, otherwise we cannot survive. Because I mean, I am optimistic in that sense. I am signing all statements of protests against the government, and hopefully this will lead to something now. Hopefully, that there is.
It seems that there's something in the air.
Let us hope. Let us hope. But let us hope also it will not be chaotic. It will not be chaos, huh? Because it can be very easily. Very easily it can be. And then I have seen how things changed in my country 2 or 3 times during my life. And sometimes the change was preceded by, at first it's violence. I mean in 1952, before the revolution, Cairo was burnt out. And I have seen that with my own eyes. So let us hope that a change may come smoothly and not with democratically, let us say. It's like a dream, but it is a dream. But let us stick to the spirit.